that's the only reason you have people that like Hillary is because she takes a lot of selfies with celebrities and sends them a lot of gear.
I just picture click. We're gonna Photoshop that, right? No, it's a selfie. It's direct upload.
What? Can you edit out my lung on the floor? It's allergies. We have her with us, the always fetching Lauren Southern. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Look at the new hairdo. You look like something out of Game of Thrones there with the waviness.
I guess, sure.
Is that what you said?
Cersei,
Did you go?
I've always had a huge respect for Cersei Lannister, so.
Which one's that? Did she die yet?
The crazy one who blew everything up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking Khaleesi, but I think she's substantially shorter and heavier than you these days. But that's all the rage. We have a few things to talk about, Lauren. We put up a live poll here before you came up. Who wore it better? And I have this up on my screen. We put you next to Lena Dunham for an unbiased, unfiltered approach. Mm-hmm. And within only a couple minutes, 49% said Lauren, 6% said Dunham, 45% said kill me now, please. That's got to feel good.
Oh, man, I didn't even break 50. Well, we did our best. You know what? For a second there, I thought you were going to say Lena won it.
No.
I was about to, change my whole look up there.
You're far too modest, Lauren. It's tough to compete with Kill Me Now, Please. It's such a visceral reaction with Lena Dunham. Oh, so speaking about that, let's do this first. Were you kicked off of Sky News recently? We were going to have you on to talk about Amy Schumer and this stuff. Were you actually kicked off of Sky News? Am I hearing that incorrectly?
I've been banned permanently.
Really?
From Kay Burley's show, at least. And she did cut me off and say, we're not having this terrible rhetoric on my show. And on her Twitter, she said I was a vile racist. And yeah, that was good. Apparently, you shouldn't make jokes about putting on bronzer and getting a dinghy raft to migrate to Sicily, but...
I don't even see how that's remotely offensive, okay, nope. Jared? I think it might have been the maracas joke, which, as you know, with Cultural Appropriation Week, we did
might have been the maracas.
Yes.
Anyway, it's so funny because I got contacted, the press all over in the UK started contacting me and calling me and emailing me, oh, do you apologize? Are you sorry? And I'm like, what is there to be sorry about? What am I supposed to apologize for? It's just amazing the press's reaction versus the people's reaction, because every single tweet, every single comment on the Mirror article, people can go read it themselves, were saying, I don't agree with Kay Burley on this, yet right. There's been such a disconnect from what people say at their dinner tables and in average conversations every day to the discussions that happen on mainstream media and what's allowed to be said there. And they're not asking the questions, saying the same things, or considering the same things that the everyday person does.
Oh, for crying out loud, too. The joke about maracas. You know who perpetuates Mexican stereotypes more than anyone? Mexicans who sell to tourists. All it is sombreros and maracas and hot sauce. That's all it is. And
hot sauce.
Yes.
The guy right across the street from me, there's a Fat Bastard Burrito. Love it. Great place. Not paid. But the guy who made it, the social justice warriors had a campaign saying, this is so offensive. You're portraying this man as a fat bastard cartoon Mexican, right? And this guy is from Mexico, or he's Mexican, and he's saying, he literally said, he did the whole protein world thing where he just didn't take their crap and said, it is amazing to me that people, you obviously have a whole lot of privilege in the world you live in where a cartoon character is your biggest problem. Maybe you should worry about the people of Mexico that have much bigger problems to worry about than a cartoon character of a Mexican.
Yes,
or a girl on Sky News making a joke about maracas.
Though we do have a problem with fat bastards in this country, so it's not one to be taken lightly. I know we're not supposed to fat shame. It's funny you talk about that, the fat bastard. We were talking about this. When I said Hillary Clinton acts like a horrendous bitch, and I stand by it, not all women. Hillary Clinton. I don't refer to women as bitches and hoes. Hillary Clinton is particularly bitchy to me. I feel she comes across that way. They go, well, that's a sexist remark. You wouldn't use that for a guy. First off, guys do get called that, but women never really get called bastards.
Carrie Johnson.
That's almost they're exclusive insults to any demographic of people, men, women. So if you hear someone's like, oh my gosh, that woman's such a bitch, do you take that as that person meaning all women, including yourself?
Well, it's, of course, got the special preference. And, of course, men have their own personal insults. Of course, bastard isn't used. Of course, you're being a dick is typically used for men. They've got tons of terms that you can call them. you're being a cuck is typically used for men more than women. And no, of course it's not sexist because it's men. They're privileged. They live their easy lives where nothing goes wrong, and they get their white privilege and male privilege cards preloaded with $1 million. It's wonderful. Women's studies class told me that, so it must be true.
What is that skyline behind you there? Is that in Canada or are you in Los Angeles?
I'm in Toronto right now.
Oh, you're in Toronto.
And I'd shut off the light, but I'm trying to figure out lighting here right now, and then you get to see like.
This is your new apartment? It looks like you got a nice suite going on there.
Just got a new one, but I'm probably going to have to pay like $40 just for lighting this one show, because I found out in Ontario, they've made a deal with green energy where we are only allowed to buy stuff from the wind turbines. So instead of like 2 cents power from the Great Lakes, we're being charged 30 cents. So I'm checking my hydro bill, and it's literally like, it's not possible.
Hold on a second. You just said that this is such a Canadian thing. God bless you. When people hear hydro in the States, they're going to think water bill. Now, is that what you thought? Hydro?
I was thinking Hydra, the main nemesis of
All right,
Captain America,
never mind.
but that's a whole different problem.
Seriously, when you think hydro, what do you think? Not okay, Jared.
Water.
Yeah, it's Hydroelectric is a company in Canada,
Yeah.
so it's the electric bill. Sorry, I just had to make sure because I could just see the thousands of Americans confused.
Yeah, I keep forgetting. It's happened on my Twitter as well. I'm like, what are they so confused about? This is such a normal thing for me here.
Right. I used to do that with Americans. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm paying $8. I can't believe I'm paying $1.13 for gas. They're like, oh, that's unbelievably inexpensive. But then they didn't know it was per liter, and then you add it up, it's like $8. Yeah. So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but we have to mediate this so Americans don't get all confused. Well, good. I'm glad you have a nice apartment there. We can't get the video clips going.
Next
because
segment.
It's a short segment.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll get the video clips going for Lauren coming up next. Okay, we put up a new poll. Who wore it better? We took your lovely hedgehog and put it up there next to Amy Schumer in a bikini.
My hedgehog.
Your hedgehog. Do you not have a hedgehog?
I do, of course.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Boom.
Sleeping in the other room right now.
There you go. So this is versus. Sorry to toss your hedgehog amidst a battle like that. You can see it here on the screen, but I think you'll
Beans
be.
is looking very cute.
He is always looking very cute. Amy Schumer's a monster. She's a stuffed nightmare. That's the kind of stuff that gives children nightmares. Your hedgehog's winning. So
Excellent.
The
We've
Lauren
got a lot of bestiality fans. It's a bit worrisome, but I can hardly blame them.
the Lauren clan is 2 for 2 tonight. So I just wanted to make sure. We wanted to give you a leg up. Okay, speaking of which, we'll go back to the man thing because I wanted to see if Lauren felt the same way as Courtney because she got so much feedback on that, both good and bad, and suitors. Let's roll this clip. Amy Schumer said this about Hillary Clinton. I'm sure you followed it, Lauren, but we need a lady's opinion on this because we're patriarchist pigs.
If you go, why don't you like Hillary? They'll go, she lied about her emails. What else is she going to lie about? People get one fact, and that's what they latch onto about a candidate. They go, but she lied about that. I'm like, well, Donald Trump has a fake college. Donald Trump doesn't pay his workers. He won't release his taxes. There's never been a nominee who's ever not released their taxes. So, and I don't think you can I haven't had a conversation with anyone who doesn't like Hillary where they've had anything meaningful to say.
Okay, well, let's come back. I wanted to have the clip where she said that there was hatred for women, and that's what it was. That was
I saw that.
Yes, you saw that. Okay, Lauren. Do you like Hillary Clinton, yes or no? And do you think you have any meaningful criticisms? Is it rooted in deep hatred for women, as Amy Schumer said?
Well, as you know, as someone who doesn't like Hillary Clinton, I only have to say that she deleted a lot of emails, and that's pretty bad. That's all I have to say.
It is pretty bad.
that's kind of bad, I mean, I like to keep my inbox clean, but when Hillary does it, I heard it's kind of bad. No, but seriously, what's funny about this is I've never spoken to someone who likes Hillary, who has anything to say about her other than she's a woman. And unlike Schumer, I have the video proof for this. I just uploaded a video the other day talking to college students about this. I'd really like to see some video proof of Schumer talking to people, only having the email example for not liking Clinton, because I think she might be playing it up a little bit there.
I have never met anyone who likes Hillary Clinton. I don't know where you found them. Of college students, they were all Bernie. I guess now it's kind of, we have to pay. I've never met anyone who was enthusiastic about Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, I don't think I have either, other than celebrities that are being paid, like your Katy Perrys of the world, that are being paid to show up at her events, or celebrities that are trying to get involved in politics and are super excited about finally being acknowledged by the real intellectual world, and they feel that they've kind of made this great achievement by making themselves look more respectable with a politician, right? And you've got Hillary going on her selfie tour right now, showing up randomly at Justin Timberlake's house to upload selfies to his Twitter and inviting YouTubers to take pictures with her. I mean, that's the only reason you have people that like Hillary, is because she takes a lot of selfies with celebrities and sends them a lot of gear. And it's working, because that's all people need. That's the 10 seconds of politics they get in a day.
I just picture, click. We're gonna Photoshop that, right? No, it's a selfie. It's direct upload.
What? Can you edit out my lung on the floor? It's allergies. It's a high pollen count.
There's gotta be an app for that, right?
I mean, they sold Barack Obama as cool, and let's be honest, it was kind of easy to do. He was more tech savvy than any president before him. He seems like he has a good sense of humor, Barack Obama. I will say that about him. But just the fact that they've used the exact same playbook with Hillary and the celebrities, I think has sort of torn down that house of cards that, hey, the Democrats are cool and with it. She's like, she's the grandmother who shows up and does the chicken dance. Like, right, isn't that funny? And you're just like, Grandma, oh, I wish you would check out soon.
Well, I can only imagine they're having a straight panic attack at the DNC, and they're thinking, why isn't it working? We had the perfect calculation. Black man, woman. Next is going to be transgender. Why is it stopping at woman? Why are people not falling for it?
Yes, I wouldn't be surprised if that's going to happen next with the transgender issue. I know we've talked about. I know you have a lot of friends. Obviously, you're transgender. We have friends who are transgender in the show, so we don't always want to dive into that. But you must have seen the hashtag. We were talking about this earlier today. If men had periods, and then the trans community getting mad, saying, "Well, men can have periods too." I know you're sort of libertarian on social issues, but we can both acknowledge that not a single man has ever actually had a menstrual cycle, right? That's not hateful.
I'm not going to deny biology. It's like, I believe a lot of people can do what they want to do as long as they're not impeding with my life, and I will promote different lifestyles for them because I think that certain lifestyles make people more happy. However, I'm not going to sit around here and deny biology to make people happy.
Right. Yeah, it's amazing how
men can have periods and women can have penises. Let's not be crazy here, guys.
Right. Well, if only we changed it. Here's something else too I noticed, because the trans community pushes this, that gender is different from sex. But when they change their gender, guess what? On your driver's license it says sex, and they change their sex on their driver's license. So just like men can have periods where they're talking female to male, which is not consistent. They're not even consistent when trying to expunge the record because they change their sex on their driver's license. It's an issue where people would make more headway, like you said, if it's, listen, you want to do this, fine. It's abnormal. If it makes you happier, the jury's still out on that, by the way. It tends to make people less happy. But let's not deny biology. Do you think that a lot of these people are actually making, I've noticed a lot of pushback on the trans issue, kind of like feminism, because it's been an overreach so fast?
You know, it's just people have a lot of unlearning to do. I was taught this in school. I was taught this in high school and university, that men can have periods. And I sat there laughing.
Were you really?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
I was not, and I'm only a few years older than you.
I mean, it certainly wasn't in my biology courses, but when you have socials teachers that are able to co-opt a class and say whatever the hell they want to kids, and kids eat up every single thing they say as fact because they want to regurgitate it onto their tests and get a good grade and get into a good university. And of course, why would their teachers lie to them? I mean, it gets ingrained in you, and they have a lot of unlearning to do. They have a lot of things that they need to deprogram, basically. And I think we're making a little headway in the quote-unquote alternative media, but there's still a lot to do, because you're not going to see mainstream media people on the CBC or the BBC saying, that's ridiculous. We can't deny biology, because they don't want to get fired from their jobs.
Well, then they tell you, and I noticed that a lot of people, whether it's sort of newer, whether it's alt-right, whether it's new media, they avoid the climate changes because you're still excoriated as a science denier by the same people who say men can have periods. And we just talked about that. We released a video last week going, we said the first thing you're going to say is climate denier, and then list the top arguments, and this is why they're incorrect. And I think the world is, the earth is warming. We know that, and humans could be a contributing factor. My point is, I don't believe Bernie Sanders, the proposed legislation, will do anything, and I don't believe it's catastrophic. And right away, people who are coming on board from the left are like, oh, that's something they're not willing to unlearn. Whereas this week, right away, we just featured Bill Nye, I don't know if you saw, talking about how the polar bears there are more polar bears than ever. Yeah. So it's one of those issues that still people can't get past that hump, and it's clearly just a divide between logic and the crossover.
Yeah, absolutely. I've always loved that. I've always loved the science denialism. I'd really like to see, because they always have these things they quote where 97% of scientists say global warming is real, right? Why don't we get one of those made for transgenderism? Can't we? I wonder how many scientists would legitimately say men can have periods. What was the result?
Yeah,
how many scientists said
They did a meta study of all the publications. They said there's no scientific basis for this sort of modern view that someone can be born with the wrong gender. Said none. As a matter of fact, the brain changes occur after cross-sex hormone replacement therapy. They did a study of all the published papers. Now, people can say it's biased, and we can have that argument, but this was, let's look at all the published research, and they said, thus far, there is no proof for it. It's not a condition that you can prove they were born into the wrong body. And of course it was.
Why am I not surprised I haven't seen that?
Yeah, well, I think we wrote about it, and people were very afraid to share it. And again, like you said, you want people to be happy. You want to help them. We've got Theron Meyer on the show. Theron's great. We love having Theron on the program. Mm-hmm. The climate change issue is one we have to make some headway. Okay, speaking of making some headway, we were talking with this about Courtney. I don't know if you follow her or not. She's a brilliant writer. She was on here talking about her dating experiences. She also argues that it's hard to find young men. I think it's because young men are confused because they're told that, listen, you don't need to fulfill this sort of negative stereotype. You don't need to be masculine, and that's wrong. And then you have people who are saying, pick up chicks, drink scotch, that's it. And they're rejecting and showing how they hunt and fish because they have small penises, and that's wrong. So Courtney has said in her generation, it's very hard to find well-balanced, respectful, firm men. Have you found that, or have you taken yourself out of the dating game? I don't want to get too personal.
Oh, no, absolutely. And I don't want to say like, oh, all men are bad. There's no good men in the world. I don't want to be that kind of person because women have a lot of work to do. I mean, shave your armpits, ladies, figure it out. It's just as tough for guys right now. Yeah. But when it comes to men, I have this cycle that happens to me every single time I go to a bar, or I used to work as a waitress and everything, and it would happen every single time to me. A guy would come up to me and he'd be wearing his DC shirt, he'd be drinking a beer, and he'd be like, hey, you're beautiful, blah, 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 start up a conversation with me. You look kind of bored over here, right? And then we'd get into a conversation of hobbies, and I'd say I'm into politics, and he would be like, oh, I'm really into politics too. And I'm like, all right, here's where it begins. And I'm like, what's your thoughts on the U.S. election? Well, I just think Donald Trump's a huge racist, and we need peace in the world. We need to just have unity in the world. And this literally is happening
Lauren,
to me.
I forgot. I was enthralled. Hold that thought. We'll carry you over for another 2 minutes to wrap it up. Louder with Crowder. Lauren Southern is still here. Stay tuned.
So basically what happens is after they start telling me about how much they hate Donald Trump and we need peace in the world, I'll challenge them, and they'll be shocked. They'll be absolutely shocked that I challenged them. And then they'll try to back up their political knowledge with some sort of, or they won't even try to back it up a lot of the time. They'll just say, wow, I'm really impressed with how smart you are. I've never met a girl like you. That's really amazing. I think we have a really deep connection. Do you think I could get your number? Like, without fail. And I'm like, what about this conversation of you putting some ridiculous political ideology towards me to think you can pick me up by saying Donald Trump is a racist, and then having nothing to back it up and saying I'm a genius for giving you 1 point to refute it makes you think that I'm going to give you my number at the end of this conversation. And it's happened to me so often. So that's the DC guys. Then, of course, there's the guys on the other end that won't even start the conversation in the first place. And then
would you date a liberal? Would you date a leftist? Do you think you could?
I don't think it would last very long.
No, I don't either.
I mean, I could try. But,
don't try. If you don't think you can, don't try. It's hard enough for people to find good ladies. My wife was the same way. She was a believer in being very exclusive, not casting a wide net. And if someone didn't line up, she was all right, gone. Didn't waste her time with it. So I think that's good. It means you have self-confidence, and you don't need to get your self-confidence from being fat in a bikini. So kudos to you, and you would keep your values.
I feel bad for these women. You know what? I actually genuinely feel bad for Lena Dunham because I've been reading up on her lately, and she plays up this whole confidence thing in her bikini, being fat and all that. But then you really read her articles, same with Amy Schumer, and you kind of see this sadness and regret behind them. You see Lena Dunham talk all the time about how she's sad that she's rejected by guys like Drake, for example. I don't think I was pretty enough. He had a thing for another actress, another girl, and you see this little bit of for more attractive women, and you kind of see a little bit of regret in them, and they won't be completely honest about it because they don't want to get rid of that feminist perception that they believe in subjectivity of beauty. But you can see it in their writing if you really look into it. You can see the regret in their writing, and I don't mean to read too much into it, but it's pretty obvious.
No, I think you're right, and that's a good point. And I felt really bad for them for a long time. For example, we had Phil Advise on earlier. Phil Advise show, and the first time he was on, we had a debate, and I felt so bad because I didn't think it went well for him that I didn't upload it. Until I realized that after that, he was still telling people that cops are gang members, that they'll kill you as soon as look at you, that they're killers, and people are following the rhetoric. It's sad, they're sad, but it still is important for people like you, and people like me, but particularly people like you, who they're preaching what has made them sad to other women, lying to them, selling it as a false bill of goods that'll make them happy. So that's when my sympathy goes away, saying, oh, instead of just admitting that you're unhappy, you tell everyone else, hey, don't body shame. It's just as healthy and you're happy. But like you said, if you really look at it, and I spent some time with Amy Schumer, she's not a happy person.
Yeah. Well, they've dug this hole too deep. They can't go back. If they go back, they destroy their careers in a sense.
Yeah.
So they keep having to lead other people down this path of self-destruction. It's so funny. I got stuck in a car the other day on my way to work with a woman who ended up being the head of a women's only publishing company. And we got into an argument over this, of course, just Uber drivers freaking out, like, ladies, calm down. And I'm telling her, I'm like, no, I don't want to force a certain lifestyle on women. I just want women to be happy. And the lifestyle you're selling to them isn't making them happy. It has made them significantly less happy, and it is completely opposite of what their biology is. It's completely opposite of what has worked in the past. And this, feminists can't deny they're advocating for the destruction of the nuclear family and of womanhood in general. Bell Hooks will say this. All great feminists will say that they want the destruction of the family. And you'd think that a movement for women would want to preserve femininity, but instead they're having women embrace masculinity, which is not something that makes them happy, and it's not something that a movement that advocates
it's
loving
toxic.
women should be promoting.
It's toxic. It's the same example like we said with the trans thing. We know estrogen is toxic to the male body beyond a very small amount. Same thing with women and testosterone. It is physically toxic, and it is mentally toxic to try and brainwash them into thinking that they are a man or a woman will be happier acting as a man. I will leave you with this. I think that's great. You just want women to be happy. I think that combined with Carly Fiorina, when she was on the program, she said, listen, I see any woman who has made her own choice, whether it's being a stay-at-home mom or a CEO like me. If the woman has made the choice for herself, that's a feminist. And I think that combined with, particularly if their choice makes them happy, that's a feminist. I think that's a wide enough box where everyone should be happy. But I don't think they will. Lauren, we must let you go. Where's the best place for people to find you?
You can find me on my Twitter at Lauren_Southern, my Facebook, pretty similar, or at TheRebel.media.
Well, her name doesn't change so much. She can't copyright a whole bunch. Lauren, thank you so much, and we'll be working with you soon on this double secret hidden video. She's the best. If you like this video, subscribe or click what's playing next to me. It's taken from the full show. That's right, every week, the full 2-something-hour podcast.
That's never going daily.
And it's never going daily. Stop asking, but it's free. You can go watch it, play it in your car. It's better than texting and driving.